Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Chapter 6 of Vlad the Impaler. Sultan Mehmed II is just sitting down into the water of the palace's grand bath when one of the maidens attending him loops a length of silver cord around his throat. You leap from behind the tapestry where you were hiding and slice the assassin's head off in one stroke. The Sultan gasps for air as he splashes away, the other royal bathers screaming in horror as the deadly woman's body pitches forward, fountaining blood into the pristine water. "What is the meaning of all of this?" the Sultan cries. You lean over and pick up the woman's head, turning it around to show a tattoo on the back of her neck. They call her Ismeju. It means dragon in Romanian. The Sultan's face turns from red to white as he sees the symbol of the many-headed dragon on her neck. He then fishes the assassin's cord out of the water and finds a silver dragon cross dangling from the end of it. The Order of the Dragon. "Yes, Your Majesty," you reply. "They are the force behind the bloodshed in Istanbul. I have learned through my investigation that they have been waging a bloody inquisition against your city, or across your city, torturing and killing anyone they perceive to be evil, and in doing so, they have descended into a darkness greater than that which they sought to purge." The Sultan looks up at you. The Order of the Dragon does not move without the command of their secret master. You nod, placing the severed head onto a silver plate. And whoever that master is would have the weight of all this bloodshed on his hands. The Sultan gazes up at you. "Indeed, becoming the greatest of all monsters, and I know the name of that man, for I have faced him before. He is Vlad Dracula, Prince of Wallachia, I don't know, and known as the Impaler," you reply, finishing the Sultan's sentence. "You know of him?" You nod sadly. "He is the one who asked me to come here, searching for a great evil, the same as his knights." The Sultan's Janissary guards finally swarm the room, and a dozen spears are pointed in your direction. "Hold!" shouts Sultan Mehmed. "This is a hero. More than that, a hero with one last task to complete." The Sultan turns back to you. "For unless I miss my guess, you are the type of person who finishes what they begin." It's with a heavy head that you nod, because he's right. Aw, that's gross. The Sultan leaves the room for a moment, stepping into the shadow. He returns carrying an item that he holds with great esteem and presents it to you. A true hero is talented in many fields, the Sultan states. Take this and allow its power to guide you. This scimitar is the language of the world and fire, the key to humanity. No roots can go as far back or be as deep as those that connect us to the fire contained in this blade. Sweet. Got a scimitar of eternal flame. That's pretty badass. Alright. Journey to the castle. You leave behind a city still in the grip of darkness. Despite all you have done on its streets and in its shadowy corners, there is only one way to truly save it. Your trek across Ottoman country is arduous. By day, bandits hound you as if having specifically been given your name. At night, things crawl out of the shadows with teeth like knives, only to be kept at bay by the circles you draw upon the ground around you. It is harrowing and you sleep little, but as you climb through the mountainous forests of Transylvania, you at last find the road you once climbed as a friend. And even in the twisting twilight landscape, there are still a few flowers to be seen along the road. You pick the few that catch the last light of the waning sun, but as you round the final bend, Vlad's castle comes into view. You once stayed there as a welcome friend. Now it seems to stare at you in hunger, as if the very stones were luring you into the gaping mouth of the inner gate. The portcullis crashes down behind you, and as you enter the dead walls, you know for a fact that there is now only one way you'll ever leave Castle Dracula, and death is not it. Spooky. I gotta say, I like the art. It's pretty. Alright, we'll go into the antechamber first, because that's our only choice. The front gates of the castle swing wide as if operated by phantoms. You know that to show any fear would be fatal, so you square your jaw, draw your weapon, and step across the threshold. The main antechamber is dark, but just as your eyes are beginning to adjust, 100 candles flare to life. Cobwebs crisscross the high ceiling, but you can still make out the mural painted there, a sweeping depiction of Vlad as a younger man, leading his force of Wallachian soldiers against the vast armies of Sultan. You remember how much he looked like a savior in that painting when sunlight would fill the dome. But now, by flickering candlelight, he appears more like a horseman of the apocalypse. "Who goes there?" comes a voice from the balcony above you. You look up to find a rugged-looking man with a full beard and dark eyes staring down at you. "I've come to see Prince Vlad," you say. "I'm a friend, and I suspect he's been expecting me." The man's mouth twists up into a smile. "He has been expecting you." "To die!" The man then leaps over the railing, but when he hits the floor, it is on all fours, and in the shape of an enormous werewolf. With a frightening growl, he charges you. "I can attack or I can dodge." "I'm gonna attack." Showing no fear, you leap forward, lunging with your weapon to stab straight through the wolf's gaping mouth. It makes a sickening, squishing sound as it lodges down the beast's throat, but the sheer force of the creature's momentum knocks the two of you over, sending you collapsing to the stone floor. The werewolf thrashes in pain, trying to remove itself from your weapon, but you are relentless and twist with all your might to impale the creature through the brain. The furry monster goes limp on top of you. You roll it off and climb back to your feet. Your clothes have been torn, and deep cuts begin to ooze blood from where the werewolf's talons raked through your flesh. Fear begins to seep into your veins. A scratch from a werewolf's claws has a chance of infecting you with its curse, and now your blood is beginning to flow, the scent of which will undoubtedly attract other denizens of the castle. Frustrated and in pain, you plant a solid boot on the werewolf's flank and yank your weapon from its mangled jaws. It isn't turning back to its human shape. Clearly it isn't dead, and in time will resuscitate. You plan on either not being around for that, or carrying silver when it happens, and so move on, deeper into the castle. Alright. I'll go to Black Chapel. As you enter the castle chapel, you are surprised to see just how greatly it has fallen into disrepair. It wasn't more than 10 years ago that you attended Mass in this very place, and yet it looks as though centuries have passed. The pews have split and warped, the altar is overgrown with lichen. The crucifix has been shattered. Dust and ash cover everything. Most disturbingly, however, is that the tombs of the other long-dead Draculas seem to have been recently opened. You cross the chapel, past the baptismal font where Vlad himself was baptized as a child, and you wonder just how this great man could have fallen so far. That's when you realize there is a woman standing against the far wall. You hadn't noticed her when you entered, because her dress is gray and her face is covered with the same ash as the rest of the chapel. She stares at you with unblinking eyes. Speak to her, or attack with a blow to the heart. I will speak. "What are you doing down here?" you ask. Her voice is little more than a whisper when she replies, "I was married here." You take a step toward her. "You're one of the Draculas?" you say. She slowly shakes her head no. "Are you dead?" you ask. She blinks for the first time. Single tears run down either side of her face, washing away ribbons of ash. Then she nods. You take a step closer. "Did he kill you?" She shakes her head no. "Are you one of his guardians?" you ask. She closes her eyes, then she slowly nods. Her voice is even quieter when she replies, "But I have failed." "How have you failed?" you ask. Mere feet away from her, fresh tears run down her cheeks as she says, "Because I was guarding his conscience." That stops you in your tracks. What happened to him, you ask. Her eyes slowly open as she looks at you from the deep shadows of her face. He sought to do good deeds. He intended for the Knights of the Dragon to help the innocent, to combat evil. But they have gone astray, persecuting everyone they come across. And the blood on their hands has twisted him, opened his heart to the influence of shadow and night, and he no longer listens to me. Only the howling of wolves and the mewing of his cold women. He is lost. Her eyes wandered down to your weapon. Now there is but one last thing which can affect his heart. She reaches a filthy finger to touch your weapon. There's a sudden flash of light blinding you. You step back, rubbing your eyes. When the effects of the flash finally subside, you are alone again in the chapel. Your weapon, however, now seems different. Almost as if it were shinier, luminescent in the black chapel. You remember the werewolf and press on, up the back staircase, climbing into the heights of the castle. No stats gained, but I think my weapon's a little bit magic now. Or more magic, I guess, because it was already a magic sword. Alright, the East Parlor. At the top of the stairs, you find yourself in a long corridor, leading toward a pair of heavy oak doors. You gather your courage and move forward, past the open rooms along the side of the passage. But then one catches your notice. Against your better judgment, you look inside. It is a salon-type parlor, as dark and dusty as everything else you've seen in the castle so far. But through the moth-eaten drapes along the far wall, you can make out a painting. On the canvas, a regal couple face each other, holding hands. The taller of the two figures is a young Vlad, dressed in an opulent and regal uniform, with a ruby-encrusted sword sheathed on his hip. Staring into his eyes is a beautiful Transylvanian woman, in a royal dress of gold and blue. Your jaw drops. There can be no mistake. You just saw that woman in the chapel downstairs. Vlad's wife? He was married when he was younger? That's when you feel the slither of chilly fingers across the back of your neck. You spin around, raising your weapon, and yet you find no horrible monster, but three beautiful women in flowing gowns, otherworldly in the moonlight seeping from the windows. I can attack them, which is, for the record, what I'm going to do. Or I can give them the flowers I picked on the way up from the mountain. I'm going to attack. Your years of experience scream through the supernatural haze of their beauty, and you lash out with your weapon, decapitating the one nearest you. The other two scream in rage as their sister's head bounces out of the room, and a geyser of blood erupts from her neck. The enchantment over you is broken, and you now see that the remaining two actually have monstrous red eyes and sharp fangs. They leap on you, digging their teeth into your flesh. You scream at the biting chill of their teeth and flail through the mist of blood that is filling the room as you try to get them off of you. Their strength is otherworldly, but you have not come so far only to be subdued by mere minions. Summoning the lessons of the battle monk, you twist and roll, breaking the fiends off from you, and spin with your weapon to decapitate the remaining two. More blood fills the air from their severed necks until there is a thick haze of red mists hanging suspended in the room. You stumble back out into the hall, leaving much of your own blood behind as you turn your sights toward the final door. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I don't think I'll be able to beat him. Covered in the blood of the vampire women, you kick open the heavy doors and walk inside the audience hall of the castle. There, three long pikes with sharpened spear points stand in a row along the far wall. Behind them hangs a banner with the symbol of the Knights of the Order of the Dragon. Sitting at the desk in front of them is a man with long, dark hair. He looks up from writing as you enter. You recognize the face all too clearly. It's him, Vlad Dracula, the Impaler. You should not have come here, my friend, he says, setting down his writing quill. You step forward, replying, and you should not have sent me to Istanbul, if the darkness I was meant to find was actually you. Vlad stands up from his chair, looking every bit the man you remember from better days. He says, I had suspected that a great evil was rising, but my knights, no matter how many heathens they killed, no matter how many witches they flayed, no matter how many wicked men Ismeju assassinated, they could not find the source of the evil. So I sent you, the best investigator of the supernatural I have ever known, because I knew that if you ever came through those doors, it would confirm what I had grown to suspect, that I had become that great evil. He releases the heavy cape from his strong soldiers to fall to the floor. And tonight you have proven me right. You watch as Vlad's skin cracks and splits, breaking open and sloughing off as if a serpent was shedding its outer layer. Gray flesh, muscular and terrible, emerges from beneath. Long black talons end at his fingertips. Symbols of some dead language cover his torso. His face peels away to reveal demonic eyes and saber-like fangs as bat-like ears extend out from the sides of his head, and from his back sprout 4 membranous rings, which flex for the first time. Look upon me, old friend, he says in a hellish voice. I can't do a hellish voice, I apologize. And know that you are my final test, the last barrier before my great blood-hewn destiny. Well, shit. Alright. The fuck is the paladin charge? We're gonna use the Scimitar of Eternal Flame, because that's the thing the one chick touched. And then disappeared into, I think. You leap at the vampire, bringing all your martial skills to bear as your blade cuts broad swaths across his hellish body. Dracula screams in both pain and surprise, his eyes widening at the blood that spews from his wounds. How is this possible? He snarls. You wonder the same thing yourself, then notice the slight glow from your weapon, the same glow that blinded you when the woman in the chapel touched it. With a roar of rage and a swipe of his cursed hand, an invisible magic force rips the blade from your hand and sends it hurtling into the wooden supports along the roof, where it splinters and sticks. Now, Dracula says, standing to his full bleeding height, we shall see what you can do without your enchanted toy. We'll, try the paladin charge. You summon the awesome total of your strength and charge the vampire, shouting, Our Father! As you swing and slice your way toward him. You are surprised when he catches your arm right before you can finish your attack. He looks down at you with sharpened sneer and says, Your impotent prayers fall on more deaf ears than mine. And with that, he digs a clawed hand into your ribs and lifts you up by them. You scream in absolute pain as your feet leave the ground. Dracula laughs. Then he throws you across the room, slamming you into a stone wall where you collapse to the floor, your blood spilling out everywhere. What a dick. We'll try to hit the head. You know that to strike second is likely not to strike at all against so formidable an opponent, and you leap forward, swinging for the vampire's head. His mouth becomes unnaturally large, and his neck swerves serpent-like, dodging your blow to bury his great fangs into your shoulder. You scream in agony at the pain and chill of his bite, and with a sharp twist of his head he throws you across the room, colliding against a bookcase. Your shoulder hemorrhages blood from the large chunk that he's bitten out of it. I'm gonna try to offend him now because fuck it, he's beating the shit out of me. I thought you were a great man, you shout, and here, after all you could have become, I find nothing but a sycophantic lackey to the first dark power that comes along. You're nothing more than a joke. Vlad stares at you for a moment, a shrewd look in his demonic eyes. Then he grabs you by the legs, swings you over his head, and impales you on one of the pike staves behind the desk. You slowly slide down the wooden pole, choking up your own blood, as Vlad says, Who's laughing now? The end has come, but there's more left to discover. So, I think I lost that one. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. That was Vlad the Impaler, and, I don't know, maybe I'll try to beat it another time. I'll catch you guys later.